Hello, everybody. My name is FlashPoint, and today I'm on the Model Bladers YouTube channel, and I will be making a tutorial of how to use Tinkercad. Now, Tinkercad's a very basic version of CAD, CAD modeling softwares. It uses shapes and cutting out shapes to get your desired object however you want it. Now, this tutorial will be for, whoever wants to learn Tinkercad, whether you're new or you want to pick up a few new tricks, however you want to. So, let's just get right into it. Let's start off by showing off what I've already done. Now, for starters, I have a template. This is the C4 template that is right spin. It's available in Model Bladers. So, if you want the template, join Model Bladers. Now, the second thing I've done is I've grabbed a cylinder, and I'll show you what I've done here. So, I've taken a cylinder, and I've put it in the center, and then I've made it 64 sides. I've shrunk it down, and then held shift and made it bigger by using my scaling tool. Now that is just shift and whatever direction you want it to scale. For me, it's just the height one so that it stays in the center. And then I just dropped it down. Now mine is about 65 by 65. Yours can be however, and if you ever get it unaligned, just like that, and your template, hit the align tool, select your template, and bring it over. Now that you have an alignment tool to get your blades just right so that they aren't offset or anything like that, they will be straight 100% of the time. Now that we've gotten that set up, we can get into the actual blade making process. So what I recommend most beginners beginners start out with is the cylinder. Take your sides, make sure they're always at 64, and contort it however you really need it to be. And the reason why I say cylinders are the best to start out with is because of this little section here, and I'll explain why in just a minute. So what we want to do is we want to make it about the same height as my template. And I know that this template, if I click on this, is 9.10 millimeters tall. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to type 9.10 or 9.1 millimeters tall in there. And now it's matching the height. So now I can use my arrow keys to move in whichever way I want. And for me, I'm going to use my alignment tool, hit my alignment option, and just hit this, and that'll center that. Now that we've got a centered piece, I can talk about beveling. Beveling is so important in the design process, and you have to do it while you're making the blade, otherwise it doesn't look right. This is why I love starting out with a cylinder, because the cylinder has a bevel tool which will automatically give your blade a bevel. And I can stretch it down and then just chop it off and have a bevel, and I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. But so it comes with a bevel tool. Other ones like this, you don't see that it has a bevel tool. The only other ones are other cylinders, and those will have bevel tools. So, coming into it, I can take this, and I think what I want to do is I'm going to cut the front and give it this slanted look. So don't worry about this, we're just going to click whole, and so then you can see however I want it. I can move it, and this won't get cut off, but I want it to be cut off. So a great trick is to click W on your keyboard, and select the face right here and stretch it. What that'll do is that'll move the workplace onto this surface so that, as you can see right now, if I contort it, it looks all weird. But if I use my workplace, I can stretch it on this plane rather than any other kind of plane. Now that it's long enough, I can hold shift, click, so I multi-select, and group them. Now I have something like this, and I can fix whatever I want later. I can contort it however I see fit, and when I get it to a point where I like it, probably something like right there, or I'll even stretch it out, and that looks good enough. Now I have an unbeveled piece, but this is why beveling needs to be done during the process. With the cylinder, if I go back enough, I can't bevel once this is set. So it is important that I bevel and I find the amount that I want to bevel as soon as I can. So if I want it about right there, I'll take it, I'll stretch it. It's stretched down right now, but I can copy my alignment tool. I can bring it up to the surface or however much I want. For me, I'm going to go right there, and I can group these, and it's half the blade. With half the blade, I can take it, I can use my mirror tool and mirror on this axis. I'll just from here drop it down to 0, and then I'll merge these two. I'll group them. As you can see, now I have a far more beveled piece than what I would normally get. So now that I have that, and I group this, and then I can like stretch it again however I see fit, how do I get this beveled? Because it's clearly not beveled compared to my cylinder. So the way I do that is I'm going to use my W trick again. Click W, click on the surface, get another cube or a box. This is what it's called in Tinkercad, and I'm going to just, typically I like my bevels, they kind of fit around 25 to 30 range. I like mine at 30, and what I want to do is I want to line it up with this line right here. And by doing how I do that is I go down to my next to my settings and I go and click on my snap grid. I want that off. From here I can use my arrow key to slowly, and holding my arrow key, move it up just about till it matches. And the way I can check is I can zoom real close in, and as you can see, it's just barely off, so I'm going to use my arrow key once more. And that, it's very, very close. And that's about as close as you can get it. So, get it as close as you can. And from there, I'll click the home. I'll zoom in. From there, I can click W and reset my workspace. I can grab this, copy it, use my mirror tool, mirror on the Z axis so that it is for my bottom bevel. I can drop that down however I see fit, and I can take this and merge it. Now I have a bevel, and that is perfectly beveled. And I just want to do the same trick, but because I don't have my plane up, I'm going to hold Control and use my up and down arrow key to raise it with the height. And then I'm going to get close. That's as close as it'll get, and I'll bevel. Once those are grouped, I now have a blade that is beveled perfectly, or as close as we can get to perfect. Now I want to do this every time I cut out with a square. Now I can return my snap grid back to 1 because it's just convenient and it's easy. So now I have a beveled blade, and I can do this however I see fit with the square, or the cube rather. Now when it comes to cylinders, it's a little bit more tricky. If I want a cylinder, say something, maybe something in the back, like right here, I can use my hole and I can cut it out. Now I can't just, well I can, but it's not as nice. I can just do this, but it won't look as good. So instead what I grab is I grab a cone. I turn its sides to 64. I turn it to a hole. I flip it upside down. And then I align these two using my trick so that they're nice and aligned. And I'll select both and I can contort them both at the same time so they retain the same shape. So I'll contort it and I will rotate it however I see fit. And I think that looks good. So then what I'll do is I'll grab my cylinder and my blade and I'll group them to cut a hole. This next part is why we have our cone. Now for the cone, I'm going to lower it down. Now I'm going to hold shift after unselecting, reselect it, drag it up. Now it's big and I can drop this down and I have to zoom in. Same trick once again. Turn my snap grid off, control with my arrow key. I can move it to as close as possible, which is right there. And now as you can see, it is very nicely beveled. All I have to do is run group, take this, copy it, group. Now I still have a copy. Use my mirror tool, mirror on the Z axis, and align it once more. So once again, get real close, and we'll get as close as we can. It doesn't have to be too much harder than that. I think I'll go right there. Okay. Now it's, as you can see, this line runs through and they meet up so that the lines meet up as close as they can. But there, now I have a shape. Now I can use this shape in a variety of ways, or I can make a new shape to add onto my blade. For now, I'm just going to use this shape. I'm going to grab it. My snap grid's still off, and this is where I want my snap grid off so that I can position this however which way I want. So if I want it kind of like stretched, and I can rotate it and stretch it, always have a copy of the original. I can stretch it however which way I want, and I actually think I'm going to mirror it so it looks like this, and I can do something like that, or maybe I'll keep it how it is. I'll stretch this, I'll rotate, I'll smush it down, I'll drag this like that, like so. And now I have a blade. Now I can use my alignment tool and my blade. So I'm going to copy my blade, and then I'm going to rotate it 180 if I want to. Rotate it 120. Rotate it 120, or I need this already. Okay. Rotate it 120 if I want 3. And so, however many blades you want, divide 360 by however many blades you want, and that is the angle you're going to need to rotate it by. So for 4 blades, it's the same as 2, just cut in half, so you need 90 degrees. For 3, again, it's 120. And now I have 3. And these are very nicely done blades. Now, they're kind of flat right now, and I can actually, if I want to, I can keep them flat, or what I want to do is I'm going to actually raise this up. I'm going to put this at an angle, whatever angle I see fit. Typically you only need a couple, like maybe 3, and I can stretch it however I need, drop it down, raise it about right there, looks good. And then I can use this, rotate it inward if I see fit. It's my bay, it's my blade, and I'll build what I want with it. Cool. So I can take this, and I think I want it 3-sided. I think it looks good 3-sided. So again, rotate 120 degrees, copy, and if it doesn't move over automatically when you copy, just select this, copy this, and rotate it 120 again. And there you go. Now you have 3 sides. Now, if I want to fill these holes, I can still use this. And I can actually, I'm going to copy this, and I can contort it to look any way I want it to. So I could rotate it so it looks like this, and I can stretch it so it's nice and sharp, or I can flip it over so I have something like this, any way you want it. So I think I like it somewhere with it just being a rounded shape. And then I can contort it again. Just make sure it doesn't breach through your blades, and if it does, you'll have to trim it and cut it off with holes. But I will adjust it to about there. If there's any other issues, I can move it however I see fit. Now that it's where it's somewhere I like, I can copy, and I'll just rotate it the 120 degrees again to get my proper shape. So I'm just going to do this. I have my 3 blades, and so what I'll do is I'll take my alignment tool for one final time. I'll bring it up till it meets the workplace, your work plane, and I'm just gonna grab all of my blades and I'm gonna group them to it. What that'll do is it'll flatten it out. Now it's all flat, and I have a blade almost ready to go. Now the final step, take a cylinder, make sure it's 64 sides, align it with your alignment tool once more, and I'm going to put it, if you look real close at, if you can see my template still, if you need to get rid of this for a second, come up here and hide that, and all I need to do, my work plane off, just adjust it till it meets right about there. That'll work. Then I'll click up here to show all, select this, bring my cylinder down and through so it's poking through, and I'll group those two, and not my template just yet. Now I can add some style choices. Personally, I like them, so I'm going to take a cone once more, align it, make sure it's got 64 sides, flip it upside down, enlarging it, play with it how you want, and just what this does is it just adds an inner bevel that looks nice. Align it with your template, so it's not cutting your template per se, but it's close. And then group it to your blade. And now you have this nice little inner bevel. It looks nice. And now, finally, I can group these two together. And there you have it, a Beyblade. Now this one is it's on the bigger side. Typically you'll want to keep it within 45, but this will work. Now, it is recommended for C4 blades that if you have one on the bigger side, that you do cut holes in it. For this tutorial, this is just a general example, and I won't be printing this or anything like that. Just try and keep a rule of thumb, keep it under 45 by 45, and you'll do just fine. With that, I'd like to say thank you. If you ever need help, I'm available in the Model Bladers Discord server. So for future help, if you want to join, I'm there for you. And for any other, if you need to refer back to the video, please pause and refer back to the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.